can tell us apart here on the Disenfranchised Podcast. That's right, that podcast all about those franchises of one, those films that fancy themselves full-fledged franchises before falling flat on their face after the first film. I am your host, Stephen Foxworthy, and joining me, as always, the man who may or may not have been put together by a group of German scientists. It's Tucker. Hey, Tucker.
Hi, Steven. How's it going?
It goes, man. How are you?
I'm pretty psyched. I'm pretty psyched to be talking about a movie.
Yeah, man. It's been a couple weeks since we got together to talk about a movie.
Yeah.
Or it's been a few, actually, since we've been together to talk about a movie.
That's true. And let me tell you, Steven, the thing that kept me from being on the last episode almost kept me from being on this episode.
I gathered that based on the text that you sent us the other day. I thought that might be an issue.
Yes, I found out this winter, unfortunately, not just this winter, but from other times since I've lived here in New Hampshire, that anytime a squirrel farts, my electricity goes off.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of trees up here. It's a very wooded state. And of course, it's power lines. It's not, the utilities aren't buried. You can't, I mean, it's rock.
Right.
I'm in
yeah.
New Hampshire. It's all rock.
Right.
I'm on solid granite.
Not only is it rock, it's cold rock. So,
yeah.
Like, good luck.
Thursday, when the power went out on Thursday, over 80% of New Hampshire was without power.
Gee.
And there are still people that don't have power.
I'm not surprised by that. I'm glad you were able to get it up and running and able to join us tonight. But if Tucker just cuts out in the middle of the episode and we have to end early,
a squirrel farted. That's what it was.
A squirrel farted in his general direction. Yeah.
There was a stiff breeze, so...
It should be noted that our co-host Brett Wright set off in an inflatable raft to muttering something about finding his long lost brother. I don't know. We're hoping he'd come back. He's back soon, but I don't know. He's been gone for a while. Like I wonder if sometimes if Brett will be rejoining us.
I don't know. We did a What Are We Watching last week.
That's true. You guys did without me because
lots of video games, Steven. We got all that off our chest while you weren't around.
I'm so glad that I was able to not be there so you could do that. No, no, man, my work schedule just been overloading me, and you guys were all like, let's do it. And I'm like, I can't stay up that late. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't. I was absolutely in bed by like 9 o'clock that evening.
It was perfect timing because both of us had built up quite a list of video games. So it was good to purge that.
You kind of keep those locked and loaded for when Brett is on.
I do. If it's because very rarely is it the three of us. So like when it's just you and me.
When's the last time it was the three of us? It's been a hot minute.
About a month ago. Probably about a month ago. It doesn't happen often, but it happens often enough. I wouldn't say it's rare, but it's certainly not common.
Yeah, these days it is less common, but life, as it often does, finds a way, and that's what it's been doing, man. Life do be finding a way sometimes, though. I'm looking at our episodes here. I think it was Dylan Dog, I think, was the last time we were all together. That was our February 22nd. Thank you. That was our February 22nd episode.
All right.
So,
yeah.
So it's been like a month and a half almost since we've seen our good friend Brett Wright.
Now, it's worth mentioning that last week's episode where I did not appear is the only episode that I have not appeared on by choice. And even the one that I dipped out of because I just could not bear to talk about the film, I did a What Are We Watching with those guests. So still counts. That's the only one I've missed.
I've only missed one main feed episode and two What Are We Watchings in the history of the podcast. So
that's true.
So
we're running neck and neck, Steven. Yeah.
But yeah, so Tucker, this is a very auspicious month because it is the first month ever where we are doing a sequel. Yes, we, the podcast all about movies that didn't get sequels, are doing a sequel to one of our favorite previous theme months. A couple years ago in April, we did Arnold in April. We covered 4 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. And this month, we're doing it again in something we're calling Arnie April 2, Austrian Boogaloo. And yeah, last week we talked about Commando with our friends from the Movies for Life podcast. And this week, Tucker, we are talking about what classic film?
We're talking about twins.
1988's Twins, directed by Ivan Reitman and written by William Davies, Timothy Harris, William Osborne, and Herschel Weingrod, starring the man himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger, also Danny DeVito, Kelly Preston, Chloe Webb, Bonnie Bartlett, an uncredited Heather Graham? What? David Caruso, Trey Wilson, Marshall Bell, and the great Tony J. I also want to throw in my boy Maury Chaykin, and apparently Sven Ole Thorsen is in this as well. That's great.
So. And you know what, Steven? Speaking of Ghostbusters, too.
Sorry, what a cast, what a picture. Go ahead.
You know the gal that plays Danny DeVito's girlfriend in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
She is also has a bit part in Ivan Reitman's next film, which is Ghostbusters 2. She's the lady that meets the alien at the Holiday Inn Paramus that tells her when the end of the world is. She's on Peter Venkman's World of the Psychic.
Valentine's Day. Bummer. She is also the role that kind of gave her prominence was she played Nancy Spungen in Sid Nancy.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's a something of a movie. I don't know about that one. That one's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I saw that one too young.
I have avoided that one, honestly.
I feel too young, Steven.
At 40, I feel like I'm still too young for Sid and Nancy, honestly.
No, you can handle it. It's just not something you'd ever want to watch again. It's one of those.
I've seen too many of those that I'm just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. But yeah, we are talking Twins. Arnold Schwarzenegger's first foray into comedy. Which we didn't really talk a lot about his comedy work the last time we did this. So I am kind of excited to get into his comedy, specifically the comedy that he did with Reitman. But first, Tucker, we have something to discuss because you were not a recurring regular member of the podcast in April of 2022 when we last did our Arnold theme month. So this time I am very curious to know what your history is with Arnie, when it was you first connected with him, what your thoughts are on his body of work, where he is now. Just give us your Arnie thoughts.
Well, the first film I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger in was Kindergarten Cop. And boy, did I love that movie when I was a kid.
That feels right.
I tell you what, that was a good time. Real good time. And honestly, I've been kind of indifferent about Arnold since. I like him. I think he's great. I like it when he's in stuff, but he's not really someone that I go out of my way to see a movie just because he's in it.
Right. He's not a draw. He in and of himself is not a draw for you.
No, I do think that he's talented. I don't think that every role that he takes really uses those talents.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I think this film really is one of his best performances because it's a very balanced performance. He does the fish out of water thing really well.
He really does.
He really balances the comedy with the drama in this too. I believe all the serious stuff with him in this movie. And that's not something that people really think of Schwarzenegger as someone who is a good dramatic actor. They think of him more as the big action guy, and it's all cheesy and campy and stuff, but he really brings it in this movie.
He does.
I was really impressed. Not to say that I knew he could do that sort of thing. I just didn't know that he did it in this movie because I've never seen it before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you haven't seen Twins ever?
No, because I really, like I said, I don't dislike Arnold. I just don't really care.
Okay.
I don't care.
And that's fair. Yeah. That's totally fair.
I think I kind of made my action star allegiances and he was unfortunately left out.
He
There
was
were some other
not
people that
your
I was
boy.
a little more impressed with.
Sure.
But I do think that he can be a fantastic actor, and he's definitely a fantastic presence in pretty much anything that he's in.
Agreed. Now, who are your action star go-tos? Like, who are your action star guys?
Stallone,
Okay.
Bruce Willis probably there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends on what era we're in, you
Well,
know.
88, like this is an interesting year because this is the year that Arnie goes comedic and Bruce Willis, the funny guy from
From
Moonlighting,
Moonlighting, yeah.
becomes an action star. Like
He's
this is the year when the cultural landscape surround, and particularly in America, surrounding what an action star looks like completely shifts. And I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, I really speaking of Bruce Willis, I think the thing that I really liked about the original Die Hard is it's really just David Addison in an
Mm-hmm.
action movie.
It really kind of is, yeah.
Like he's just a goofy guy who is caught in a crazy situation, and that happens a lot in Moonlighting as well. Like see the
Right.
pilot, like the most suspenseful episode of the whole series. When they're
Yeah,
up on that
right.
ledge and like wow. But yeah, Moonlighting. It's finally streaming, so you don't have an excuse if you haven't seen Moonlighting.
Oh hell yeah, where's it at?
Oh, I think it's on Hulu is where it finally ended up.
Hell
It
yeah,
was
that's
kind of a big
awesome.
deal a couple months ago. It was finally on streaming because for a long time there you couldn't find it on streaming. You couldn't buy it. You couldn't stream it anywhere. I actually the way that I watched the entire series was through Netflix DVD service
Oh
back
yeah,
in the day.
we remember when that was a thing.
Yeah, so I watched that entire series, and I it's all worth watching up until they answer the will they won't they, and then there's just no tension anymore, and you're like, this is still a good show, but
That's always
I
when
don't
these
care
things
as
fall
much.
apart. Yeah.
Yes.
I know Orson
Oh,
Welles shows up in the last season of that show, so I'm kind of
mhm,
like I want
he
to
does.
watch it up until Orson's
Well,
episode.
and there's some good stuff. Like they were kind of the first show to really get super meta, like break the fourth
Mm.
wall and do that and do special episodes that like just use the characters and put them in different situation and it's not part of the canon.
Oh, nice.
um it's a really wacky show, especially for the time. Like you didn't do that kind of shit back then. Nobody even knew what that
Right.
kind of shit was.
Right.
Nobody had even thought of that yet. We
Right.
didn't have multiverse of madness up in this motherfucker. Like nobody even knew what a
Yeah.
multiverse
What
was.
if or yeah, all that
But yeah,
stuff.
Moonlighting is fantastic. You don't have an excuse anymore. Go see it. Everybody's great in it. Bruce Willis is fantastic in it. Booger is in it. The guy who plays Booger in Revenge of the Nerds.
Curtis
He's
Armstrong.
fantastic. Yes, I
Yeah.
love him. He's really great in that show too.
He's so good.
But yeah, check out some Moonlighting.
Hell yeah.
We were
One of
talking
these
about
days I'm
action
going to do
stars.
that.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger
Mhm.
was just always kind of one of the side guys for me. He was never a main guy that I was too interested in.
Well, and I think plus you and I are of an age where we didn't really grow up with Arnie as action star because like this movie comes out when I'm 5.
Yeah.
And so like I grew up with Arnie as family like movie star. And I would argue this is the movie that really like last week we talked about the movie that kind of cements his action persona. This
Mm.
is the movie that I think cements him as just a Hollywood movie star regardless of genre, regardless of what it is. Like we can pitch it to Arnold and he could probably do it.
Yeah. And this proves that he could do it really well given the right material.
Right, absolutely, 100%. This is a movie that we wanted to do 2 years ago when we ran this, but at that point, there was a lot of talk about the possibility of a sequel to Twins called
Which I'm still holding out for.
Triplets. I look, basically everyone has said it's not happening anymore.
Fuck.
Because this, so basically, we can go ahead and talk about, I guess, the sequel to this
Please.
movie now
Might
because
as
it's
well.
might as well. It is kind of a thing that we do on this podcast, right? So, but this was something that had basically Arnold had kind of always wanted to do it, And in the early 2000s, he and DeVito and Reitman start talking about what a sequel to this would be like. Apparently, Arnold had always wanted to do it. There's this idea, well, okay, this is twins. What if it's triplets? And so the original, there are two teams of screenwriters that worked on this film. The second team, Osborne and, what was his name? Weingrold or whatever. Weingrod, sorry. The two of them work on a treatment and basically pitch it. And the idea, you got a big, strong guy. You got a shorter, kind of skeevy guy. What's left? A black guy, like
Yeah,
and
that's
so
naturally where you go with that. It writes itself.
And so the treatment that they came up with was going to have Eddie Murphy as the third triplet, which
I
apparently
watched that.
came out of like conversations that he had with either Arnold or Reitman.
Mhm.
And Arnold was into the idea. DeVito was into the idea. Reitman was like, everyone was kind of into the idea. And so they write, and then Arnold becomes governor of California.
Boo.
And so that everything that he is doing kind of just stops. Like his movie star career just stops. He's running an entire state. He does that for, I think, about 7 or 8 years.
Mhm.
And then by the time he's done, like he's talking about it again. So 2012, they kind of start talking about it again in earnest. And they're talking about it, they're discussing it. And eventually, after Coming to America, the sequel to the original Coming to America,
Yeah.
um, like Eddie Murphy starts getting offered a bunch of stuff, so he's out. Like he can't do it anymore. So they're like,
No.
"Well, who do we know? Oh, let's do Tracy Morgan." And so we're gonna cast Tracy Morgan. We get two other guys to write the script. It's a
Those are two
different
completely
script,
different movies that I would totally watch.
right?
I would watch both of those in a
Right.
heartbeat.
So they pull in Tracy Morgan, and everything is going great. They announce that it's in development. They announce that it's happening. 5 months after that, Ivan Reitman dies,
No.
passes away. He passes away. I don't have the month right here in front of me. In February of 2022. So this was one of those that was like on the list, and then we were like, at that point, it was still uncertain as to whether or not it would actually happen. And I think since then, pretty much it's been canceled. I don't think anyone really wants to touch it without Reitman. I don't even think Jason, like, hey, let's reboot my career by going back to the Ghostbusters. Well, Reitman wants to do that, even though he's
Well,
kind of
I
like
think
making his career on rebooting his dad's stuff now. But
I
yeah.
think he kind of felt obligated to do that Ghostbusters movie, and I honestly, it doesn't seem like he's really interested outside of producing in that after that, and he doesn't seem to be trying to. That's the thing. If you put Jason Reitman on this, he's just doing it again. I feel like he did the Ghostbusters thing because like he kind of had to,
Mm.
but I think his obligation is done. Like
Well,
he
but
is
I
his own
also
filmmaker. Like Thank You for Smoking is
no, I think,
fantastic.
but I think by and large, a lot of the stuff that he was doing on those films, I didn't realize he didn't direct the sequel. Interesting. Okay. I thought he
Yeah.
directed Frozen Empire. I didn't know he didn't. Okay.
Nope.
But like his career is also in a very fallow place when Afterlife comes out. So I think he needs Afterlife every bit as much as like people wanted him to do it. Like I think
Yeah.
that kind of gives his career the shot in the arm that it needed to kind of get him back as, producer, writer, director extraordinaire, and gives him the freedom to make the movies that Jason wants to make, because the movies that Jason wants to make have kind of fallen out of favor. They're the kind of movies that aren't getting made anymore.
Yeah.
Sadly. And so like, because I mean, this is the guy that gave us Juno and Up in the Air, Thank You for Smoking, as you mentioned before.
That's
And
really
then
good.
he does like
I miss Aaron
um
Eckhart.
oh yeah,
What's he
love
been
that
doing?
guy. Oh, I don't know. He's
Not
one
a
I'm
lot.
scared to check.
I don't want to look.
Tully and the Front Runner, and the Front Runner kind of tanks his career. It's the Hugh Jackman biopic of what was his name, Gary Hart, who's running a presidential campaign, and then he finds out he's having an affair. Like
I didn't see that
that's
one.
not, no one did. That's the point.
Maybe I should.
So like his career is kind of like floundering at that point. Tully
He's
doesn't
in
hit
this
well.
movie.
Yes, he
Jason
is.
Reitman's in this movie.
And as is his sister, who is a regular recurring character on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which stars
And
Danny DeVito.
he doesn't tell anybody that they're full of crap
No,
in this one.
no.
My dad says you're full of crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the funniest part is that his dad was Ivan. So Ivan probably
Yes.
did say that at some point. Ivan strikes me, just things I've heard about him, he strikes me as one of those directors who is kind of overbearing on a set
Mm,
and kind of knows how to get what he wants by like negging people a little bit.
yeah.
Like his two biggest comedic collaborators, and this is going to sound really fucking weird, but his two biggest comedic collaborators are Bill Murray and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray is one of those guys who's just notoriously difficult to work with. Like if he likes you, he will like listen to you, but if you like start to lose his respect a little bit, he will turn on you. Just ask like Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I've talked about this recently. Like the reason why like Bill Murray and Sylvester Stallone don't win their Oscars, even though they're kind of the favorites, is because the people voting for them are people that have had to fucking work with them. And they're just
Yeah.
like, no, not going to give you the satisfaction, bro. Just not going to do it. Sorry. Um, and because they're kind of assholes. And Reitman is the kind of guy, and I'm not saying that Schwarzenegger is this kind of person because I don't think he is, but like he can like put a guy like Murray in his place pretty easily and be like, no, we're going to do it this way. And Murray's like, okay, and Murray will defer. Like he can out asshole Bill Murray, which
That's a feat in itself.
right. And I don't mean to speak ill of the dead. Like I don't mean this as an insult. I just from what I've heard, this is kind of the way the man ran a set. And that's
And if we're comparing him to Bill Murray, then that means he's at least a lovable asshole.
right.
Right?
He's an asshole that people seem to enjoy.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I did a little bit of research on this episode, but like listening to the lead up on this, like the original two screenwriters are like a pair of British guys who were like, one of them was a barrister, one of them worked for a tabloid, and they just got bored with their jobs. So they started writing scripts, and they knew someone who worked in LA who like knew a producer. So they just sent her like a bunch of scripts, and they liked him enough that they were like, yeah, come on out. So they came out to LA, and they're like, well, who do you want to meet? And they're like, well, we love Ghostbusters. So Ivan Reitman. And they sit down with Ivan Reitman. They pitch him the ideas, and he goes, those suck. I hate those. He goes, here's what I want to do. I want to make a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because up to this point, Arnold has only been action guy. That's it. That's all he's done. And I think Reitman said that he had dinner with Robin Williams and Arnold Schwarzenegger one night, which to be a fly on the wall for that meal, right?
Like I would have had to like step away and take a break. I feel like every once in a while, because that's just a lot of energy at one table. Holy shit.
But like both Williams and Reitman were really shocked at how funny Arnold was. And they're like, why don't you do this on screen? Like, you're hilarious. You should be doing comedies. And Arnold basically says, they don't want me to do comedies. I'm an action guy. Like, they'll only let me do action movies. They don't want me to do a comedy.
And that's why your comedy is going to be funnier, especially if you nail it, which he does.
He does.
If you're subverting expectations because people think you're one thing and you show them that you can do something else. His timing in this movie, I cannot say enough good things about his performance in this film. Though
he's so good.
Spoilers, I thought this film was pretty mid, but the performances of the entire cast, especially Arnold Schwarzenegger, were definitely not a low point of the film.
Yeah, for me, what this movie is built on, and I think the thing that really keeps this movie from bombing outright is the chemistry between Schwarzenegger and DeVito, and how committed they both are, and how amazingly well they sell the performances they're giving in this movie.
Yeah, I believe like those are two very well-known people, but I believe that they're these two other people
with two very established personas.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're able to turn in these performances, and like Arnold is kind of fish out of water in the movie, but also fish out of water as a comedian because he's never done it before. DeVito, like this is Louis De Palma from Taxi with like some stuff added in because he's like, wait, this is just Louis. Like what else is there? And they're like, you're right. We'll give you some. So they gave him like some extra stuff. They made him a little scuzzier, a little hornier. kind of like dust it. And DeVito's like, I think this is the only movie I've ever been, or the first movie I was ever in where I actually got the girl at the end.
He is a sex object in this movie. All the
He,
girls want him in this movie.
Danny
I felt
DeVito
obligated to want him, but
fucks.
in this movie, yes.
Danny fucks in this movie. That is all there is to it. We're gonna do a whole Danny DeVito sidebar later.
Nice.
That is a thing that has to happen. But like for right now, just I mean on the Arnold of it, like Reitman basically says to them, I want to make a comedy with Arnold. I met him. I think he's hilarious. He wants to do a comedy. I want to be the guy to do a comedy with him. And so they put their heads together, they start writing, they come up with 3 pitches. There's like a heist thing, something no one remembers, and then twins. And that's the one that Reitman bought. He like buys that premise right away. He's like, that's perfect. Mm-hmm. They write the script for Steve Martin, for Arnold and Steve Martin. They're thinking like that kind of like malicious, mischievous, impish kind of would play well against like the innocence that Arnold would be bringing to his character.
Yeah.
And they're like first time screenwriters. I'm pretty sure this is the first thing either of them has ever like wrote that they got paid for. So like, I don't think either of them were like really knew how movies got made. At that point, they were just kind of like, oh, we're making movies. This is so fun. And so like they didn't really know how to write for someone. They had done a TV movie in '87 called Student Exchange, but this is their first like movie.
Yeah.
And so basically like Reitman's giving them notes and they're kind of, and nothing really, like apparently they gave Reitman the script and his wife says to them, he laughed 5 times. And they're like, it's 120 pages. She's like, no, that's good. Like he laughed 5 times. That's good.
That's what Michael Keaton said in his video recently. Did you watch that? His
I haven't. No, yeah.
That's something he said. He was like, yo, if you read a comedy script and you laugh out loud 5 times, take that script, like be in that movie.
Yeah.
That's wild. I guess that's a thing. I thought that was just a Michael Keaton thing, but
no,
I guess
apparently that's like a rule. Yeah. But
that's
so that's 100% what it was. Like, and so she's like, no, that's good. The one scene that I know they kept from the very first draft was the scene where Vincent, like, and it's apparently the scene that made Reitman laugh the hardest when he was reading it, is the scene where DeVito's like, wait, so I'm the crap? I'm all the crap that's like left over? Like I'm the residue? Yeah. Like that was the scene that made them laugh the hardest. And so that's like the one thing that lasts all the way through every conception and permutation of this movie. Weirdly, also the whole thriller angle, which is the thing I think works least in this movie. Mm-hmm. That was in the original script as well, which I'm like, I don't think we need that.
Yeah, it feels a little out of place, but still works because it's in character for Danny DeVito's character.
It's in character for both of them. Like it fits, and I get it, but by the same token, it seems like we don't trust this premise enough to like let the movie rest on this premise. We have to do all this other shit too. But so they hand it off to the other 2 guys who've done like Trading Places. And the first 2 guys are like not offended at all. They're like, no, we love Trading Places. That's great. Do that. That sounds wonderful. So they do a pass and a rewrite. They actually tone it more to DeVito and Arnold's specific personalities and personas and kind of make it their movie. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's kind of one of those things like the movie starts getting made and they're like, look, we don't have enough money to like pay all of you. Plus, we don't really have a lot of faith in this because Arnold's never done comedy before. So we're not going to pay you up front. They're like, that's fine. Reitman, Schwarzenegger, and DeVito all said, we'll take back end. We'll take a cut of the profits. Spoiler alert, this movie made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And basically, DeVito said this is like the biggest payday he ever had in his entire career.
He's still getting checks for it, man.
Yeah. Arnie's like, this is the best. Arnie's like, movie was the best decision I ever made. Like the decision to invest in myself was the best decision I ever made. they like the writers were like, we'll take a backdoor cut too, and they're like, no, that's precedent. We don't want to do that. Not for the writers. No. Like Universal's like, no, we're going to cut that off. Like, you
Right.
guys will not get a cut of the gross. Sorry. But the two stars and the director absolutely did, and they made it like bandits. Like,
Yeah.
it's DeVito's biggest payday, probably one of Arnold's biggest paydays too. All things considered, because this movie makes, spoiler, over $100 million domestic and over 200 million worldwide. This movie is a bona fide hit. One of the few chances on this podcast we get to talk about a movie that actually does well.
Yeah. I mean, that well, at least.
Right. Like, we don't often get those opportunities.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, it's like and that's like 1988 money. Like, those numbers would be like perfectly fine for a movie of this size now, but in 1988, that's huge. Like, that's a massive. So like, it ends up being like a really lucrative thing for everybody involved. And yeah, man, it's just it's a really special thing. Like, this movie is kind of wild. Is it perfect? No. I think I think I agree with your sentiment. It's mid, maybe a little on this side of mid, like the good side of mid.
Mm-hmm.
But like but yeah, but it proves that Arnold is a movie star, not just an action star. And it proves that like DeVito has a kind of leading man charisma that he had up to that point never been given the opportunity to demonstrate. Which I think is really fascinating, because at this point in DeVito's career, let's do a DeVito sidebar now, if
Let's
I may.
do it.
He is like 75. He does One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Nest.
It's not his first movie, but it's like his first prominent movie.
There's so many people in that movie that went on to do some of the weirdest stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got DeVito, you've got Christopher Lloyd,
Mm-hmm.
you've got what's
Tony
his
Danza,
nuts?
Mary Lou Henner, Christopher Lloyd, Judd Hirsch, Andy Kaufman. Like, just such an insane cast in that show.
The voice of Chucky. I feel really bad for not knowing.
Brad Dourif?
There you go. Brad Dourif is in Cuckoo's Nest, yes.
Oh, I was doing Taxi. Sorry. I jumped ahead to Taxi. Sorry.
Well, that's awkward.
That is awkward.
I was wondering where Tony Danza was in Cuckoo's Nest. I was like, I must have missed that part.
No, see,
Andy
what
Kaufman,
I had done,
really?
what I did is I jumped ahead to like the next thing that I was researching, and forgot that you were talking about Cuckoo's Nest still. So that's my bad. Sorry.
It's because I stopped to cough, wasn't it?
You did.
I broke the momentum. Damn it.
I got all distracted, and I'm also consuming this delightful adult beverage. So
that's fantastic. Anyway, Cuckoo's Nest. It's really good. See the movie. Go see the play.
Yeah.
It's hard to fuck that play up. So pretty much anywhere will do.
Right on. But then in 1978, he gets cast on Taxi.
Yeah.
Which he's on till 1983. And he shows up in 83. He also shows up in Terms of Endearment. And then 84, he gets Romancing the Stone, which kind of like puts him in another echelon, kind of moves him up a little bit. He's in the music video for Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters, a thing I did not know.
A lot of people that are not involved with Ghostbusters. Just rando celebrities in that video. It's fantastic.
Love that. He's in Jewel of the Nile, the sequel to Romancing the Stone, which is definitely not as good. He plays the Grundle King in My Little Pony the Movie. See our previous episode on My Little Pony the Movie.
Mm-hmm. My Little Pony.
My Little Pony. And then the year before this movie comes out, he directs his first feature, which is not made for TV, because he had already directed The Ratings Game by that point in 84. But his first like theatrically released feature, Throw Mama from the Train. So he's already kind of like proven himself as a filmmaker at this point. And then this is his immediate follow-up to that. And he is kind of one of the two leads in Throw Mama from the Train, just like he's one of the two leads here.
He's with Stallone on that one.
No, that's Billy Crystal. You're
What am I
thinking
thinking of?
you're thinking
Stop or
Stop or
My
My
Mom Will
Mom Will
Shoot.
Shoot,
There's so
which
many
is
mom movies with action stars back then.
which
Like,
is that one's written by the same guys who wrote the first draft of this movie.
I can't
Like
believe it.
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot is their
That's
immediate
wild.
follow up to this. Yeah.
Was like Estelle Getty in that with Sylvester
Yes.
Stallone.
Sly Stallone is, you know the story behind that one, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Arnold's like, I don't know, I'm thinking of taking this one, and Stallone's like, never mind, I got it. And like basically, like Schwarzenegger had read the script and like hated it, and it's like, this is a piece of shit. But I bet if I say I'll do it, then Sly will take it, and that's 100% what happened.
That's man, I'm pretty sure you know what? I've never seen Sylvester Stallone be particularly funny in a silly or goofy kind of way, in a very grounded way, maybe.
Right.
But I always thought that that was a missed opportunity that he picked such a shitty comedy to be in because I feel like he could probably do it with the right material.
Probably.
That man can do anything, dude. Expendables 4 be damned. That man can do anything.
And then DeVito's career really starts to take off. The next year after this, he does War of the Roses. In 92, he does Batman Returns. This is just the same year he does Hoffa, which he also directs. He's the voice of Whiskers the Cat in Last Action Hero. See our previous episode. Like he starts showing up in a lot more stuff and actually starts getting like leading man parts in a lot of this stuff as well, which is like Batman Returns is a Penguin movie. Like it's not a Batman movie. It's a Penguin movie. Danny DeVito is the lead of that fucking movie.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. Danny DeVito is the lead of Batman Returns. And then, of course, Arnold would also go on to play his own Batman villain in 1997 in a movie that would kind of tank his career for a while.
There's a line in this movie, I don't remember what it is, but it has something to do with ice or freezing.
Yeah,
That Danny DeVito says to Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's some
Mr. Ice.
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
He's like,
no, you guys, no.
Am I cool? He's like, Mr. Ice. And I'm like, oh no.
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 Don't tell him that, Penguin. No.
No. Yeah, and of course the great irony is that penguins are Arctic birds, and he's Mr. Freeze, so they're kind of
they would be
both
pals in real life.
The ice-based Batman villains, but that's all in their future at this point. Like, but no, I think this movie does really wonders for both of their careers because after this, Arnold then he's like getting offered comedy scripts. The same or the 2 years after this comes out, he does Total Recall and Kindergarten Cop in the same year, which
That's
is
quite a pair. That's
right?
a double feature that I don't know if I'd ever take part in.
Mm-hmm.
I like both those movies, but damn.
Right. 91, he's in T2 Judgment Day. 93 is Last Action Hero. 94
Did you see
is
here
True
in this
Lies.
one? I think he was saying that he would be back because of the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. No, he absolutely like if you blah blah blah,
Like,
I'll be back.
Look, back then, like nobody gave a shit about Easter eggs or fan service or anything. So I'm always very skeptical when something seems like a reference in older movies. You know what I mean? I'm like, is it or
Look,
I don't know.
I'll be back is such an iconic line delivery from such an iconic actor giving such an iconic performance that at no point in his career has Arnold ever said those three words back to back without it being a reference to that particular performance. Anytime someone puts that in a movie, they know exactly what they're doing. And if they don't, they're a fucking idiot.
There you go.
I'm just going to say it. If
I
you
trust
don't
your
recognize that, you're an idiot. But no, I absolutely caught that. They do that in Last Action Hero too. Like he gives an I'll be back in that movie also. Like it's just again, it's such a perfect marriage of line and actor that it's always going to be a reference. Always.
I also liked how he was kind of poking fun at Sylvester Stallone too.
That was
with
amazing.
The Rambo poster.
That's amazing. When again, I think that when that joke comes back around in Last Action Hero, that's really funny as well, because Stallone is the guy cast in all of Arnold's movies in the Jack Slater verse, which is just ridiculously funny.
That's fantastic.
And like, I feel like if the movie they worked together on hadn't been the movie that it was, like the movie they first worked together on hadn't been well, I guess it's technically The Expendables,
Mm.
where you get like a scene with Willis and Schwarzenegger and Stallone all in the same room. Like that should have been the diner scene in Michael Mann's Heat, but for action
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's
Break the fourth wall. Cut the bullshit, boys. Let's just talk.
it's
Let's
yeah,
have a time.
De Niro, Pacino on screen together. It's an incredible scene in what
Yeah.
is already an incredible movie, and it's because these two performers who've never been on screen together are literally sharing the screen together, and it's incredible. But then you get like that should have been what that scene was, but it's not, and that movie is
Yeah.
mid at best.
Yeah, I didn't mind the first two Expendables, but after that, they kind of lost me.
They never had me.
Yeah.
Much like Paul Walker in the Fast and Furious franchise, they never had me.
Steve. How rude.
You haven't seen the first Fast and Furious movie, so that makes no sense.
I haven't seen it since it came out on video, and I had to watch it for my job at Hollywood Video.
Yeah.
When I was like 19.
After their first race, Paul Walker jumps out of the car and says to Vin Diesel, I almost had you, though. Or like, I had you, though. I had you. And Diesel's like, had me? You never had me. And like starts picking apart all of his like racing performance stuff. Like, God, Vin Diesel. What a superstar. Love that guy.
Go watch Find Me Guilty, everybody. Just go watch it. No big deal. Just go watch it.
And then after you do that, watch the entire Fast and Furious franchise again, because that shit rocks.
Fucking
fucking A. But no, man, I fucking, this movie is really, really fun. Like, and I think so much of it is, so again, I'm not without my problems on this movie. I think this movie absolutely does have its issues. I think it's trying to do too much. I think it doesn't trust the strength of its initial premise. And again, when it comes to like high concept comedies, the 80s are like it. Like snarky scientists beat ghosts. Great. We'll turn it into a comedy. It'll make millions of dollars. Kid from the 80s goes back to the 50s. Fantastic. We'll make it a comedy. It'll become one of the biggest, most profitable movies of all time. Like, we get these like high concept ideas, and this is like a perfect example of that. All you need to know, like the whole marketing campaign of this movie is the poster, and we've all seen the poster. It's an Annie Leibovitz photograph, which I find hilarious. But it's Arnold just standing there in a suit with sunglasses, hands in his pockets. And then you got DeVito in the exact same suit, exact same sunglasses, just leaning up against him.
Okay.
And the tagline, only their mother could tell them apart. Twins. Yeah. That's it. That's all you needed in 1988 to sell this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like we mentioned earlier, it fucking worked like gangbusters. Like, it's absolutely incredible how well it worked.
I think it deserved the acclaim that it got. I think, like I said, I'm kind of whatevs on this movie, but there are some things that are really great. I think the writing keeps it from being a great film for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
because you think it's like a too many cook situation, or?
I don't know. It just seems like they're taking this high concept and they just kind of do what they have to do with it. Like, it's serviceable. The writing is serviceable, but everything else in this movie is really great.
Yeah.
So to have just a serviceable script with everything else firing on all cylinders, it just kind of sticks out, and it doesn't do it as much for me.
Right. Yeah, I get that for sure. Because again, for me, the real heart of this movie is the Schwarzenegger DeVito relationship. And I think if that doesn't work, this movie fundamentally doesn't work. But both of them are just playing at the top of their game. Arnold playing the fish out of water, playing like the doofy, like he's a doofus in this.
He's Brendan Fraser from Blast from the Past.
Right. Like this hyper intelligent person who's basically been isolated his entire life. And here's the thing, because he's such a like inherently goofy, he's got like this thick Austrian accent. He plays fish out of water so well.
Yeah.
Like so well. Like this entire movie could have just been a fish out of water comedy starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, and it would have killed.
Yeah.
It would have killed. You didn't need those extra elements. You didn't. You could have had them, but you didn't need them. And I don't think this movie needs them now. But because I think that's the element of this movie everyone forgets. Like I didn't. I had seen this movie, I think, when I was like a kid. I think I remember watching it with my parents in a hotel room or something when I was a kid. Um, like I, so I was like, I didn't remember the whole like MacGuffin in the trunk and the like the stealing cars and the road trip thing. Like I didn't remember any of that.
That was a kind of off-putting when like he just decides fuck everybody, I'm gonna just basically betray everybody and like get
Mm-hmm.
this money. And that was just such an off-putting moment of the film. It doesn't last very long. It's like 5 minutes of the movie, and then Arnold saves him and he's back to being back on his redemption arc.
But
And it
it's
just seemed like a waste of fucking time. Like, who gives a shit? It didn't do anything for the character. We already knew he
I
was a
disagree.
scumbag. We're happy with the momentum that he's on. We don't need this bump in the road. I don't think for me narratively that doesn't work.
See, and I think it does because he's just found out like he is his entire life he's been an orphan. Like he doesn't belong. There's nothing to his character. Like he is, and that's why he turned out to be a piece of shit, right? Like
Hmm.
because he doesn't have anybody. And then he finds out that he'd been lied to, that his mom was actually alive. Like, and he had known that and just assumed that he'd been abandoned. But then he finds out that there's this twin brother and that their mom might still be out there somewhere. Like they connect with one of their six dads and they find out that he might still be out there somewhere. So they go to find her, and then like so he has hope again. And you see that like in the scene with him and Linda in the hotel room, and he's like, oh, I want to look good for my mom, and he's doing the push-ups and stuff. Like there's a vulnerability to him, and that's I think the moment where she falls in love with him, like really truly falls in love with him, is
Yeah.
because he's just being so sincere, and like he has hope again for the first time in his life. Maybe he has hope. And then to see all that get completely shattered, to realize that his view of himself was probably right all along, like he lashes out in a really destructive way. I think that's like character wise, I think that's perfect, like the perfect move for that character.
Hmm.
And but then it also sets up like the final action set piece, the final tension of the movie, where and he can't save himself. He has to rely on his brother to save him. And then when he realized he could escape, he can't bring himself to do it because his brother's in danger. Like it cements their relationship and brings them together as family. Like I think it actually does really work. I just think it's not as like eloquently tied together as it could be.
Steven, I think I figured out why I don't love this movie as much as I probably should. I just figured
Mm.
it out while you were talking. It's because today I watched The Harder They Fall
Mm-hmm.
and then immediately started like at the end of the credits for that, twins
Yeah.
queued and ready to go.
Right.
And surprisingly, some of the same themes are explored in both movies.
Mm.
And The Harder They Fall is just on a different fucking level. Like Ivan
Sure.
Reitman, he's a good director. I don't think he's ever really been a great director. He's had the opportunity to work with some great people and have some great scripts, but I don't think he's he doesn't stand out to me as like, oh, Ivan Reitman's directing style and wow, he really knocked that out of it. But he always does a good job.
He's not an auteur. He is definitely a
Yes.
journeyman. I will absolutely
And so
give
to
you that.
go from that to twins, I think because while you were saying all that, I was just thinking about the similar stuff in The Harder They Fall. I was just thinking about
Mhm.
that. I was like, oh, that was a really cool moment. And remember when that happened? Oh shit, that was wild.
Right.
And so I kind of fucked myself. I really
Yeah,
did.
you really did. Congratulations. You played yourself.
Damn it. Well, damn.
Yeah.
Still see The Harder They Fall though. You guys, it's so good.
I it's on my list now. I didn't even know it existed until
So
we
good.
recorded What Are We Watching, and now
Mm.
I'm kind of digging. I can't wait to watch it.
I
Like
want to
I'm
watch it
excited.
again. I might watch it again after I watch Brick.
Mm.
And then I'll watch the Book of Clarence again because these films, the harder they fall. I guess we're doing what we're watching again. The harder they fall, and the Book of Clarence, they're the kind of movies. Also, again, like Joseph Kahn, where they beg for rewatches.
Hmm.
Like you gotta watch it again.
Hmm.
So I'm excited to watch both those movies again. Sorry, twins. Should we do the plot, Steven?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the plot. So the plot in 60 seconds, a part of the show where we, at the behest of our good friend, the Coin of Justice, or if Brett is here, the D6 of Destiny, will decide to, it will choose for us who will recount the plot of this film in 60 seconds or less. I have the Coin of Justice here at the ready. Tucker, I will flip. You will call. Go ahead and
Sweet.
call this.
Tails.
And it is Tails, you son of a bitch.
Haha.
All
I
right.
win.
So let's. You go ahead and put 60 seconds on the clock, and I will
man.
plot this some bitch
I just
out.
cannot escape responsibility, man.
No.
60 seconds, you say?
I do.
All right, ready when you are.
Okay. Julius is a perfect specimen, probably from a Nazi science experiment, and realizes that he has a twin brother. And so in Six Dads, weirdly. So he goes to find his twin brother, who's Danny DeVito, who's a piece of shit. Danny DeVito's been imprisoned. And so he breaks him out of prison, helps him get out of prison. And eventually, like, DeVito steals a car. It's got a thing in the back. We don't know what it is. But he decides to go to Houston to get $5 million. Arnold comes along because along the way is like the lab where they were grown, and their girlfriends come with them too because what the hell. And they find out that Danny DeVito is the crap. Jules is the specimen. He's the perfection. Danny DeVito's they go to meet their mom. They're told she's dead. Danny says, fuck it, goes to deliver the thing, get the money by himself. Arnie rescues him, and their mom realizes that they were telling the truth about being her twin sons and comes to find them, and they reconcile the end.
That's time. Good job, Steven. You did it. That was good. You hit the broad strokes, man. That's all we can ask in a minute.
And Arnie has sex with 25-year-old Kelly Preston, which...
Yeah, well.
Yep.
Well, how old was he? He was in his 30s, like, so whatever.
I'm just saying, like, she's fucking gorgeous in this movie. Like, she's so fucking pretty. Yeah, Arnie is born. What year is he born? Why is his
1960? No, 1950.
1947.
47. Ha. Okay. No, I didn't guess that.
No,
at all.
you did not at all. Yeah, 47 is his birth year.
Really? Okay.
In a row, yeah. And she is born in 62. So like a good 15-year age difference between the two of them, which by Hollywood standards, weirdly not bad. But this is Kelly Preston's like first big role. Like she, of course, has done plenty of other things. We talked about her on our Cat in the Hat episode. We will talk about her again on our Sky High episode and on our Battlefield Earth episode.
Bruce Campbell's in Sky High.
He is.
And Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Ooh, when are we going to do Sky High, Steven? I want to do that. I haven't watched that since I watched it when it came out.
If it were up to Brett, we'd have done it already. So
well, let's fast track that motherfucker.
We'll see where we got time. Right. But yeah, like Kelly Preston, we fucking love her. Gone way too soon. Died 2020 of cancer. Like seriously, gone too soon. But this is one of her first big roles, if not her first big role. She had done, of course, a lot of other things. We talked about her in our Christine episode also. Because she's in Christine very briefly. So she had done a lot of work before 88, but this is the one that kind of like catapulted her to prominence. And after that, she starts getting bigger roles, starts becoming more of a name in things.
Wasn't she on a show? What show was she on?
What show was she on? She's a couple episodes, 12 episodes of a show called For Love and Honor.
I thought she was on one of those 90s like young adult shows.
No 90s young adult shows. No, you must.
She would have aged out of that. Well, who am I thinking of?
I couldn't
Somebody
tell
with
you.
a similar name.
But she Battlefield. She ends up marrying John Travolta. at some point, who she
Like you
was
do.
married to up until the time of her death. But she ends up working with a lot of auteurs. She's in Jerry Maguire with Cameron Crowe, Citizen Ruth with Alexander Payne. She is in Sam Raimi's For the Love of the Game, like John Frankenheimer in 52 Pickup. Like, she works with some very prominent filmmakers, some very prominent actors as well. We'll talk about her again in our Death Sentence episode, because she worked on James Wan's Death
What
Sentence.
wasn't that the remake of fucking with Charles Bronson? Not
Death
Charles
Wish.
Bronson. Yeah, but
Yeah.
with Bruce Willis.
No,
Was
no, no,
that
no,
good?
no.
No, Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon's in Death Sentence. The Eli
Was it?
Roth Death Wish is the one
I
with
was gonna
Bruce
say, was it
Willis.
Bruce Willis in one too? Like,
Yes.
are either of those good? I never saw them.
I've never saw either one either. I have more hope for Death Sentence than I do for Death Wish, because I have more faith in James Wan than I do Eli Roth as a filmmaker. But I've only ever seen one Eli Roth movie though, so maybe I'm not the
Which
guy
one?
to judge.
Which one?
Take. You want to guess?
Is it Hostel?
No, fuck no. I don't do that horrible,
So,
like, really gory shit. Although the
what
one
is
movie
it?
I saw of his is actually fairly gory at points. The Green Inferno, future episode of this podcast, The
Yeah,
Green Inferno.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I might look at it.
It's
I heard it's pretty
fucked.
brutal.
It is pretty brutal. There is one in particular scene where you just see a person dismembered that is it sticks with you.
That's
For
cool.
sure. Yeah, no, it's pretty brutal, and but the ending 100% set up for a sequel that will 100% never happen. So that's our bread and butter, man.
We also never said that we said we were never going to get a Thanksgiving movie from
We didn't.
Grindhouse. It's taken the longest of all the Grindhouse trailers that have turned into movies. It
We
took
still
the
haven't
longest.
we still haven't seen Don't or Werewolf Women of the SS yet, so
Both of which I would be first in line to see.
don't I know.
I want Machete Goes to Space, man. Give me my trilogy. Come on.
Right. Come on now. Give us Machete in Space.
Fuck. I love both of those movies. They're just right up my, like, Robert Rodriguez, like, he knows what I want. And he just spoon feeds it to me, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you
I eat it right up.
I think if he had directed an Expendables movie, you'd be all in on Expendables.
Oh, I never thought of that. That would have been fantastic with that cast.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the first one and the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck. I want to live in that timeline. I'm about to jump timeline, Steven. See you later.
No.
Hi, it's me, Timeline B Tukey. What's going on?
That does seem like the kind of thing he would make. Although Rodriguez is such an odd, like, specimen in terms of what he does make. Like, his filmography is fucking wild.
He does what he wants to do because he can, because he doesn't need a lot of money to do really rad stuff.
And he basically does it all on his ranch. Like,
Yeah.
He's got a ranch that he makes, like, all his fucking movies on. He made a movie, Tucker, that's not going to come out until, like, 2115. It's called 100 Years. He made it with John Malkovich. He made it in 2015, and it's not going to come out for 100 years after it was made.
Yes, I heard about that. I was watching something with John Malkovich, and he was talking about that. That's fascinating. It's like Boyhood to the max.
Exactly. But what concerns me is by the time it comes out, no one will care. That's the thing that concerns me.
I'm never going to see it. I know that for sure, and that sucks.
Yeah, same.
See it.
But like El Mariachi, Desperados, From Dusk Till Dawn, The Faculty, Spy Kids 2. So then he becomes like a children's filmmaker. Spy Kids 3.
Well, that's where the character Machete originates from, the Spy Kids films.
Oh, I know.
That's their fucking uncle, dude.
Oh, I know. And it's basically Danny Trejo playing the same character he plays in Desperado.
Yeah. So, I mean, Machete's been there all along.
Right. And then he pivots back to Once Upon a Time in Mexico, closes out his Mexico trilogy.
Hey, under scene, Really. I out of the 3 of that trilogy, I think that one is the best. And I know that's a hot take,
What?
but
Oh, dude,
I
no
think it's
way.
the best. I think it's the most entertaining. I think from a filmmaking standpoint, Desperado is the better made film, but
Mhm.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico is just so engaging, and everybody, the performances, they're just hamming it up in this movie. This movie knows exactly what it is, and everybody's on the same page. It just,
Now, see, I haven't seen it since it first came out on Blu on DVD, so I
yeah.
can't really speak to it. But in fairness, I don't think I've seen any of the mariachi trilogy since college,
I
honestly.
think it's my favorite non Tim Burton Johnny Depp performance.
Mm, interesting.
He's
That's
unhinged in that movie.
that's the movie where
Unhinged.
Johnny Depp asks Danny Trejo if he's a Mexican or a Mexicant.
Yes.
That happens in that
Yes.
movie.
It really does. He's
Um,
unhinged.
so then after Once Upon a Time in Mexico, we get Sin City. We get The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D. We get Grindhouse,
Yeah.
specifically Planet Terror. We get his children's movie Shorts. We get Machete. We get Spy Kids 4. Machete Kills.
Yeah.
Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. And then like some shorts, some TV shows, some things, something called Hostage 911. What the fuck is this? I have never even heard of this.
I need a new Robert Rodriguez movie though. Give me some of that Rodriguez. Throw me a
He
bone,
wrote
Robert
it. He
Rodriguez.
wrote this one with his son Racer. Apparently,
Oh, cool.
it's a horror movie based on on the research hospital where Robert Rodriguez sold his body to pay for El Mariachi. It's Hostage 911 or Red 11. Red 11 is the shirt color and number he was assigned apparently while there.
Oh.
So I've never even heard of that movie. Then past episode of this podcast, Alita Battle Angel. Something called We Can Be Heroes, which came out in 2020. I don't even know what this is. It's a Netflix kids movie is what that is.
Oh, cool.
It's a superhero movie. Power comes in all sizes. Something tells me that Shark Boy and Lava Girl return for this one. I just have a feeling that that is true. Because he's never done a direct Shark Boy and Lava Girl sequel, but those characters have shown up in other stuff.
Well, the Spy Kids be showing up in his stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Like
he's directed 5 Spy Kids movies. Like, because the last one came out last year. Spy Kids Armageddon came out last year. Did you know there was a Spy Kids movie that came out last year on Netflix?
I did not know that, but the boy from Spy Kids, the male Spy Kid,
Right, from our John Carter
he's
episode.
he's in the Machete movies.
He is also married to Meghan Trainor, as I mentioned on our John Carter episode.
Hey,
A thing that will never cease to just amaze me.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Twins.
So Twins.
What a fucking
right.
wild movie.
Twins.
We
Robert
always
Rodriguez directs Twins.
We always have that one fucking weird sidebar in every episode where we go off on this just insane tangent that has literally nothing to do with anything attached to this movie.
Yeah. Robert Rodriguez, though.
It was
Worth
Tom
talking
Cruise
about.
last episode, and here it's Robert Rodriguez.
Worth talking about.
Worth discussion. No, man, we do stand Robert Rodriguez. It would be cool if there was another one of his movies that we could cover on this podcast.
The Faculty holds up too.
You know what? I think we could probably cover The Faculty.
Oh yeah, we could definitely.
I love The Faculty. That movie rules.
Yeah, I like that. It's a perfect cast.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect cast.
Yeah. And you get Elijah Wood as your final girl. Love that. Love that.
I like the twist too, because even like if you don't know the twist, it really is. They really do a really good job of misdirecting you the whole film.
Yeah,
it's a good twist. What a twist!
What a twist! It's a good fucking movie.
It really is.
Like it's part of that post Scream era. It's Kevin Williamson doing his shit, but with sci-fi movies like Body Snatchers.
Yes.
And it works so well, and it's Rodriguez just going full Rodriguez, and God, love that man. Really do. So stay tuned for a faculty episode sometime.
We doing it.
We
It's
doing
gonna
it.
happen.
Is gonna happen. Do we know when? Fuck no. But is it gonna happen? Yep.
Leave
Maybe
that to us. We'll figure it out.
maybe we do it for Spookython this year. Who knows? I don't.
Who knows?
I just put the schedule together, but I haven't put it together yet. That's all in the future.
I could probably build off that. You've given me ideas. You're planting seeds now.
Oh dear lord. There is one thing already locked into Spookython, and then you've got another pick for Spookython because there's 5 Thursdays in October this year.
I get a straight up during Spooky Thought?
You do.
Oh my.
I think I've told you this before, but I think you only half listen when I talk, honestly.
And also, well, here's the thing. Only about a third of what anyone says sticks in my brain. It's ADHD. Like, I've learned to, sort of figure out what bits to keep. But on the bright side, every time you tell me, I'm very excited.
That's true.
I get to experience that joy multiple times.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That is pretty cool. I don't know what else we got to say about Twins, man. This is a fun movie. Like, I have a good time with it. I don't think we need the thriller plot. I think it's unnecessary. I think it shows a lack of faith in the central premise of the film. Whereas I think we could use the fish out of water thing and really lean into that. I love Maury Chaykin as the head of the Klain brothers. I think he is fucking great. I am a big Maury Chaykin fan. Anytime that guy shows up in something, I'm like, fuck yes, Maury Chaykin. Again, another one of those guys just gone too soon. Love that guy. He's fucking incredible. Died in 2010, but like he's the best part of like Dances with Wolves, and like he's in Mouse Hunt, My Cousin Vinny. Like he's so fucking good in all of these movies. And then he's like Nero Wolfe too. Like, just God bless him. I love that guy. Maury Chaykin, what a legend. You get the great Tony Jay as like Arnie's dad who raised him. One of the all-time great voice actors.
I love that that's how they explain his accent. I thought that was really, it's simple, not like clever or anything. It just works.
Here's something.
Fucking works.
It is kind of amazing that this movie, in the year of our Lord 1988, has a Germanic actor being made as a test tube baby in a lab 35 years previous by a group of scientists.
Not all of them went to NASA, Steven.
And we never once used the N-word, by which I mean Nazi. Like I just said it, didn't I? Damn it. We allude to it pretty hard, but we never actually like bring the thing up. And like, so that would be like 53. So like that's,
Yeah. What they really shot themselves on the foot with for the sequel, and I was going to say this when we were talking about it, is if you're going to have triplets and the gimmick is that the other brother is a person of color or African American, then where's the black father? Right. In that picture? You get a picture of all of them. They would have had to shoehorn in, so they forgot to tell you about this guy.
But again, if you're dealing with a group of Aryans, which presumably you are, because look at how Arnie turns out. Like, he's the perfect specimen.
Yeah.
He's got the blue contacts. He's got the blonde hair. Like, he's going full Aryan in this movie.
Yeah.
It's hard to ignore, but we never talk about it. Like, it's alluded to very strongly. And like, I think the one other scientist is like South American, maybe from Argentina, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, we never get like full, like it never gets confirmed, but it's just kind of like put out there and you draw your own conclusions, which daring, honestly, a little bold.
Well, I think it fits the tone in the film. Like,
right.
If you know, and if you don't worry about it.
Right. That's probably a good point.
Yeah.
But we're talking about it here because we're the people that talk about that
Yeah.
shit, I
We're the
guess.
guys
But
who talk about movies and stuff.
that's it. That's what we do. So yeah, I'm kind of amazed by that, and the fact that that isn't a more a prominent point, I guess. But yeah, given your point, yeah, I guess that does make sense.
I mean, I
Um,
would rather have more thriller stuff than Nazi stuff. So
sure.
it shook out in the end. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, fair enough. Gangsters good, Nazis bad. Wait, is this what we're saying? Yes, maybe. I don't know.
That's what
Um,
I like about the Rocketeer is even the bad guys are like, nah, fuck some Nazis.
Paul Sorvino in that movie going, look, yeah, I may be a lot of things, but I'm still an American. Like,
And I ain't no goddamn Nazi.
I ain't no goddamn Nazi. Fucking A, Paul Sorvino. Now I want to watch The Rocketeer. Damn it.
Dude, yes. Rocketeer brick double
Rocketeer like a
feature.
motherfucker. Love The Rocketeer. Go listen to our
Oh,
previous episode on The
Alan
Rocketeer.
Arkin.
Timothy Dalton,
I keep
man.
forgetting that he died though because it happened so recently. And so
Yeah.
every time I think of Alan Arkin, like the second after I think about him, I'm like, oh shit, he died. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Timothy
Because
Dalton's
I
so
love him.
fucking good in that movie.
You know, Timothy Dalton, I'm reading this biography on Jim Varney.
Mm-hmm.
And Timothy Dalton, when Jim Varney saw Timothy Dalton in whatever movie he was in early in his career, it made him confident in his looks because he always thought that he was too ugly
Mm-hmm.
to be like an actor in films or TV. Then he saw Timothy Dalton. He was like, I kind of have a similar look to that guy, so maybe I'm not straight up ugly. So Timothy Dalton, like directly solved some body issues that Jim Varney had, which
And
is an
look,
interesting fact. It
anyone
has
who
nothing to do with twins.
anyone who's ever seen, I mean, speaking of twins, anyone who's ever seen Ernest Goes to Jail knows that Jim Varney can play a sexy motherfucker when he wants to.
Dude. Yeah. Oh, hold on.
We're holding up while Tucker grabs some
Look
shit
at
off
this
our
man.
bush. He
Look at
look
this man.
what
That
a
is
what a what a
woo.
the importance of being earnest. Fuck, what a great title
I'm getting hot flashes just looking at
for
this
the
man.
for
Look
a
at this
Jim
handsome
Varney
man.
biography. First of all, that's great. But no, like he seriously a very attractive dude.
Yeah. He did
Like
have some work done on his nose in
mm,
his 20s.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
like I think the thing that hurt his looks most, like in terms of like classically handsome, was probably all the smoking. But like it gave
Or the
his
wide angle lens. The thing you don't shoot Ernest without a wide angle lens. You
you
don't.
don't.
Because it's
But
not Ernest.
but that brings out all like that brings to light all the cracks and crevices in his face that come out through like the years of smoking.
Yeah.
But it does give his face such a rich depth of character
Mm-hmm.
that you just don't get for most actors. Like it's pretty incredible.
Do you think we're the only podcast where, like, every couple episodes, I kind of make us talk about Jim Varney for a bit?
I have a
Do you think?
feeling you're prepping for the straight up that's occurring
Existo.
at the end of September
I
or at the
can't
end of
wait,
August.
guys.
I know you're
There's
super excited.
homework for that one, and I hate to do it to you guys, but again, it's all out of love. There's homework for that one.
Nah, fuck that. But yeah, Twins, like fun movie, right? It's just like not a great film, not like a canonically excellent film,
This
but
is a movie that I would enjoy just catching on cable on like a Sunday afternoon. I'd have a great time with it.
so after this, like literally 2 years after this, Arnold does Kindergarten Cop, which weirdly does get a sequel with Dolph Lundgren.
But it's one of those, like, there's a whole division in Universal now that just takes old properties and makes shit sequels to them that aren't even canon, or it doesn't. It's like Undercover
those
Brother 2. It
still
doesn't fucking count.
those still count for our purposes. Those count.
Yeah, but like technically, yes, they do, but like they don't exist.
It's why we can't cover Kindergarten Cop or Undercover Brother on the main feed.
The latter makes me.
Very angry. I
It
know.
makes. I just want to. I mean, because Pootie. We talked about Pootie Tang.
We did.
Undercover Brother is the other side of that coin.
It's like,
Whatever.
yeah. I don't know,
We'll
man.
find a way, and I'm not going to use a straight up on it, but we'll figure something out.
Okay. I had an idea earlier that I wanted to float by both of you guys when I get you together, but yeah, we can worry about that later.
I like that.
Um,
Does it involve Undercover Brother?
Potentially,
It does now.
honestly,
Yeah.
potentially, it
Yeah.
potentially does. But again, I'll talk to you about it later. I don't remember what I was saying.
We're talking about how Twins
Oh,
is a
so
good
yeah, he
cable
does.
movie.
So he does Kindergarten Cop 2 years later, and then 4 years after that, he reteams with both Reitman because Reitman does Kindergarten Cop. He reteams with Reitman and DeVito for a little movie called Junior.
Junior, yeah.
That movie gets offered to Osborne and Weingold. I keep fucking up this guy's name, and I'm sorry. It is Weingrod. Sorry, that one
Uh-huh.
gets offered to Osborne and Weingrod, and they're both like, "Fuck no, not touching that." They're like, "Look, here's the thing: men are gonna hate it because the idea of a impregnated Arnold Schwarzenegger is gonna feel emasculating to them, so they're not gonna like it." And then on the other hand, women are going to hate it because it's like belittling what they have to go through for pregnancy. And so basically, you've got a really shitty movie that no one's going to like. And then Junior comes out and does no box office whatsoever. Like that thing fucking bombs. And yeah, they were right. Like it doesn't fucking work. Like they but again, Reitman doesn't necessarily strike me as the kind of guy who's really going to be like super sensitive to stuff like that. So I think that like that movie only makes $36 million domestic, worldwide 100 million. So it does less than half of what this movie does, and gets just basically lambasted at the box office by the third weekend of the Santa Claus.
Is it any good though? Have you seen Junior?
I've not. And here's the thing, I don't want to. I will see Junior
Really?
when I do my like either my Arnie Reitman trilogy watch through or my full on I'm watching all the Ivan Reitman movies watch through. But
Okay.
other than that, I do not feel the need to engage with Junior.
I kind of, after seeing this one, I kind of am curious just to see what it's like.
But yeah, no, I mean I get it, but by the same token, I'm like maybe not. But no, I love
I can't.
Arnold. I love Danny. I like them together. Like this movie like gives me the indication. And what I liked about the script that Osborne and Weingrod put together was that it flipped the script on the two characters. Like DeVito was the one who's like really health conscious and like put together and like doing really well with his life. And then Julius is the one who's been like divorced 4 times and he's an alcoholic. And then they find out they have a third brother who's in jail, but then so he's got like that Danny DeVito from the first movie energy, but then they go to meet him and he's read every book in the library and is like the smartest guy in the room. Um, and so he's got that bit of Jules there as well. So he's kind of the best of both, and he's the guy that they meet in the middle.
Nice.
And I like that premise. That's not the premise. Then basically, Osborne and Weingrod submit that script, and Reitman and Universal are like, "Okay, cool, thanks." And they're like, "I'm pretty sure no one read it."
We'll call you.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll call you.
We'll call you.
Don't
But yeah,
call us, child. We'll call you.
we'll call you. And that's so I mean, yeah, that's kind of the story on Twins. Like it doesn't it's huge. Like it's a big movie, but like so many movies like this, they don't capitalize on it early enough, and as a result, we never get the follow-ups for it that feel inevitable. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
kind
all
of
timing because this should have gotten a sequel.
and almost got a Lego sequel. And I feel like this is the kind of movie that I'm like, we're giving this a Lego sequel, really? But like
Who
people
would you reboot this with, Steven? Who would be your two mains in a
so
reboot of this?
I read something on IMDb trivia and I can't get it out of my head. But apparently Jason Momoa said he wanted to remake this with Peter Dinklage.
Now, actually, like at first I was like, nah, but like the more I think about that,
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Peter.
Same.
Speaking of Peter Dinklage in Find Me Guilty, go watch Find Me Guilty, everybody.
Also, Death at a Funeral.
He's also in what's that movie with Steve Buscemi about the? It was in the '90s, and it was about they're making a movie, an indie movie, and damn, I don't remember what that was called.
You're gonna
Never
make me
mind.
look this shit up. Damn it,
It's
man.
not even worth it. But now, fuck, like it's called like super like the most indie movie ever made.
You
It had
said it
Steve
was
Buscemi.
you said it was 90s. I got Steve Buscemi's
Yes.
IMDb page pulled up. The problem with Steve Buscemi is he's an actor that's only been in like one or
Well,
two
that's
movies. Like he doesn't have a very deep IMDb page, so this shouldn't be hard to find at all. I'm
that's why
joking, of
you do
course.
Peter Dinklage instead, because he's been in a few less. Dingy.
Yeah, but I don't fucking know what
Especially
movies.
in the '90s. That's all right. I got this. Don't you worry about it, man. I got it.
The
Just
Search for One-Eyed Jimmy, Living in Oblivion.
Living in Oblivion. That's the one. Have
That's the one. Okay.
you seen that, Steven? Go watch it.
Fuck no, of course I haven't.
Okay. It's
Tom
kind of the
DeSillo's
perfect.
Living in Oblivion.
It's the most '90s indie film that exists,
Catherine Keener, though.
and it's about making indie films in the '90s.
I
It
mean,
just
Catherine
embodies that
Keener.
whole era of filmmaking, and
You know
it's
who I
really,
love?
really good. Who do you love,
Catherine
Steven?
Keener.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, dude. You should put it on your list. You don't have to bump it up or anything. Just kind of casually throw it on your list.
I'll throw it on the watch list for sure. It's on
Yeah.
Crackle right now, so if you got Crackle,
Sure. Fuck yeah. Crackle away.
Crackle it up.
Crackle on.
It's also on Peacock, Freevee, and Plex, right, and Tubi.
Nice.
So there you go. You got options.
Check it out, everybody. Good
Living in Oblivion. Yeah, I think we've been we've pretty much exhausted this. So hey, Twins comes out on December 9th in the year of our Lord 1988. It opens number 1 in the box office to $11.2 million on its way to a domestic gross of $111.9 million. So like it gets 10% of its total gross on the opening weekend. It earns another 104.6 internationally and ends up at 216.6 worldwide.
Wowzers.
Like
what's the budget?
Budget is 15 million.
They fucked. That's great. That's a lot of money, Steven.
So
even
like
with marketing.
Right? So like
That's
we said, I
wild.
think it was like another 16 to 18
Holy
with marketing.
shit.
So like, yeah, this movie's a fucking hit. Inflated worldwide box office is close to 300 million.
That's
like
insane.
That's the adjusted box office for this movie. So it makes just a fucking truckload of money. Again, Arnold and Danny said it was the biggest payday either of them ever had in their entire careers.
I believe it.
The best decision they said that they had ever made. Like what a fucking incredible move. Yeah, absolutely. In second place, this is a good week at the movies too. Can I just tell you?
Yes, please.
A very good week at the movies.
This is my favorite part of the podcast.
In second place, a comedy film based on a TV show starring one of the all-time great parodists of the 90s, The Naked Gun, from The Files of Police Squad, in its second weekend at number 2.
Cool. That's cool.
In third place, one of Reitman's guys in another movie directed by another dude. It's December 9th. That's right. It's Scrooged with Bill Murray. In its third weekend, it's grossed 4.6 million out of the so far 36 million it had grossed so far.
Speaking of what a cast.
Right?
Wowzers.
Right? In fourth place, Tequila Sunrise, the Michelle Pfeiffer, Mel Gibson, Kurt Russell movie. You know who else is in that?
No.
My boy Raul Julia. You know who else is in that?
No.
Your boy JT Walsh.
I love JT Walsh.
I know you do. They're both right.
I want to start a JT Walsh fan club, but I don't know if anyone would join.
I think I need to watch Tequila Sunrise, is what I'm hearing. Based only on that cast and nothing else.
I'm sold.
In fifth place, the Disney movie from 1988, literally right before the Disney Renaissance kicks off the next year, Oliver and Company.
Oh, I have that on Blu-ray. That's one of my favorite. I think that's probably my second favorite. Right after Robin Hood,
Oh,
it's
right
my
on.
second favorite fully animated Disney film. Man, Billy Joel up in that mother,
The
all like,
rhythm of the city. Oh,
yeah,
once you
dude.
get it down, then you can run this town. Yeah, man.
Ooh, there's so many good songs that you got. Cheech is
Mm-hmm.
up in there.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Bette
what a
Midler,
fantastic Bette Midler. Yeah, what a fantastic fucking cast.
Dom DeLuise in that. Robert
No.
Ma fucking Loja.
I know,
Yes,
dude.
please.
I know.
Oh,
Whenever
what's
whenever
that?
someone whenever I need to get somewhere and someone is in between me and that space, I always turn into one of the villain Dobermans and say, "Get out of my way."
Who is Joey Lawrence was the cat? Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Roscoe Lee Brown,
He
the
was the
great
bulldog, yeah.
Roscoe Lee Brown, Richard Mulligan, Cheryl Lee Ralph,
Yeah, dude.
like Carl
That's
Weintraub in that movie, Frank motherfucking Welker, because of course he is.
It was the perfect movie to end that era of Disney because I loved all of those underappreciated late 80s Disney movies. I like the Renaissance stuff too, but those underappreciated one, those weird ones they were doing in the 80s, I was really into those, and this one was the cream of the crop.
It's the end of the dark ages for Disney. You know who wrote on that movie? This is wild. I did not even know that this is true. James Mangold wrote on that movie.
Yeah, dude.
The guy who gave us Logan and Walk the Line and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny wrote
Yeah.
on Oliver and Company. But yeah, then you bring in Ashman and like bring in that classic Disney princess shit,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's all over. Like the
Yeah.
Renaissance is off to the races again.
I'd love the backgrounds in this film because they look like a little they're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They're painted kind of haphazardly to give it even more of like a kind of a gritty and chaotic look.
Yeah,
I just love
I'm,
everything about that movie, dude.
I mean, it's like
Ooh,
80s New
so
York, man. We're
good.
trying to capture 80s New York.
Ooh, so good.
So yeah, man.
So good.
Uh, in number rounding out the top 10 in number 6, we've got Don Bluth's The Land Before Time.
There's 14 of those, Steven.
I'm aware. I am very well aware. We will never
14.
we will never be able to do an unenfranchised because they will never stop making those things.
No, that's true. And I'm not gonna watch 14 Land Before Times either, so fuck off.
In seventh place, another movie written by Osborne and Weingrod. Or no, Harris and Weingrod. Sorry, I've been saying Osborne this whole time. Harris and Weingrod.
Oops.
Sorry. Oops. My Stepmother, the Alien, or My Stepmother is an Alien.
Is
Excuse
an
me.
alien, yeah, there
Yes,
you
My
go.
Stepmother is an Alien. In eighth place, Tucker. Not to bring it back to your boy Jim Varney, but in eighth place is Ernest Saves Christmas.
Christmas.
Down from
That's
sixth place the week before. In its fifth week, it has grossed so
good.
far $23.6 million.
That's part of the Holy Trilogy there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In ninth place, a horror classic coming out in its fifth week, down from seven the week before, starring our boy Brad Dourif, whose name you couldn't pull earlier.
Yeah.
Child's Play.
Yeah.
The OG. And then you get in 10th place Cocoon The Return.
I didn't see that one. I like the original one.
Nor I did not see that one either. But you know what's in 11th place, Tucker? Holding
What's that?
steady at 11th after 25 weeks in theaters. One of the
Sweet.
biggest movies of 1988. See our previous episode on it.
It's like half a year.
Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, dude. People were going nuts over that movie when it
That
came out. I
movie was
remember.
fucking insane,
I
man.
saw that motherfucker at the movie theater.
I did not, but my parents also thought Jessica Rabbit was too sexy for me.
Oh, she was too sexy for you, Steven.
She's still too sexy.
They made a good decision.
Right. And honestly, the Christopher Lloyd as Judge Doom would have scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, that was traumatizing as a child.
I did eventually see it on VHS, or I think we recorded it off of like one of those free Disney Channel weekends, but it remains a favorite of mine for sure.
Yeah. Real good.
But yeah, that is the box office. The tomatometer score on this movie is a 42%.
Really?
Rude.
That
Though it
is rude.
Though it offers a few modest pleasures for undemanding viewers, Twins leans too heavily on the wackiness of its premise, disagree, to overcome its narrative shortcomings. Um, yeah, don't know that I agree with that. Leans too heavily on the wackiness of its premise. Could have leaned more. I will tell
Yeah.
you, one of my favorite things about this movie, and it made me smile every time, if not laugh out loud, were when Arnold and Danny would just do the same things at the same time.
Oh yeah, like
Like,
they pick at their ear.
or when they sit down at the dinner table and they like move their glass to the other side and
No.
rotate their food and
Because they're
smell it.
psychically connected in this. There's a supernatural subplot where like he's at one point Danny DeVito is even like talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he turns around to save him, when he's already escaped, but then he turns around, he's like directly speaking to him psychically.
Right, right. They're able to like glean information about each other, like locations and
Yeah.
dollar amounts and shit. Yeah, it's
We never
wild.
explain it.
Nope,
But
nope.
fuck it, in this movie, it works. I mean, when it was happening, I was like, "That's kind of weird," but like, also, I don't really care. I'm still having a good time. Like, whatever.
Right. The Metascore on this one is a 50 on the Nugget. Mixed or average reviews based on 14 critics. And the Letterboxd score for this movie, my computer is running really slowly right now for some reason. I hate it. Thank you. Probably need to upgrade my system. I've had this computer for almost a decade. The Letterboxd score is a 3.0. I should have let you guess. I'm sorry, Tucker.
uh, yeah,
I forgot that was a
I
thing
didn't
we're
look
doing
this
because
one
we
up.
haven't done it in like 3 weeks. So I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. Next time. There's always next time, Steven.
Next time, baby. So out of 5 stars, Tucker, how do you rate 1988's Twins?
Twins gets a 3 out of 5 for me
You know what?
because is it also a 3 out of 5 for you?
It is. It is
Because
a three
this
out of five for me.
movie, like, just as a film, is pretty mid, but you
Mhm.
can't deny that cast, especially
Right.
the chemistry between the two leads. You can't deny it. I
Exactly.
like I said, I don't really care too much for this film, but I had a blast watching it.
Same.
Like just hanging out with those guys for 2 hours. Like sign me
Yeah.
the fuck up.
Yeah. I had so much fun watching the two of them work off of each other. And I wish they had more opportunities to do so. Apparently, they both do voices on the show Little Demon.
Oh, that's Danny DeVito's daughter's
Yeah.
show. I watched that. Is that coming back? Is that getting can that have a second season, please?
That I don't know. Let me look that up. And
It
they,
was a
of
little
course,
it was
good.
good. I was just gonna say it was good.
No, they
A little more crude than I like, but
sure.
it's okay because like it works.
They apparently they also were at the Oscars this year together as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and they gave an award, and someone got the award and just like got up and just like gushed about Twins for like 10 seconds and how thrilled she was that DeVito and Schwarzenegger were the ones giving her Oscar. I
That's
think it was
great.
like editing or something. Like it was one of those. Um, Michael Shannon's on this show. Fuck.
Yeah, dude.
Lamorne Morris. I love that guy.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's on Hulu.
It is.
It's real fun.
Um, where's Arnold? Mark Ruffalo, Dave Bautista,
It's the kind
Richard
of
Kind, Sam Richardson, Rhea Perlman, Patrick Wilson. There he is. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He plays a game show host. Also on this show, fucking Mel Brooks.
yeah, dude. It's the kind of show that would not be possible without Rick and Morty. So it kind of leans heavily into that kind of humor, which I kind of fell out of love with because of Rick and
Mm.
Morty. But this show it's really well written. The voice cast is fantastic. I love the concept is really fun. The way they play it, the characters are all really unique and fun. And I recommend it to anybody who likes stuff that's funny and anybody that's in that cast.
The the animation style actually looks fairly good compared to some of the stuff that I've seen as well. Like There was one show I started watching that I was like, this might be good, and I couldn't get past the first episode because the animation style was so terrible. It
Yeah.
was like a flash animation
Yeesh.
bullshit, and I was like, I can't do this. This is so bad. But no, the animation on this actually looks really legit, and no, I will absolutely check this out.
It's easy too. It's a lunchtime show, and you could finish it in like a week.
Hell
A
yeah.
week of lunches, you could finish that show.
A week of lunch. Well, my lunch break is an hour long, so that's actually entirely possible.
Nice.
So yeah, that, friends, is our episode on 1988's Twins. We're halfway through now with Arnie April 2, Austrian Boogaloo, and that's exciting. We got actually some really fun episodes coming up. I think we're gonna have a guest next week if he remembers that we're doing it.
Oh yeah, you have a guest scheduled. That's
I
crazy.
do. I have one on the schedule. He's not been on the show for a while. Returning guest has not been on for a while. I'm excited to have him back. He's actually never been on with either of the co-hosts, so this will be fun. If that
We got some
doesn't give
exciting
you
stuff coming up, Steven.
if that doesn't give you enough information, and then we're covering perhaps Arnie's biggest franchise. So an
And I
entry
think
in
it's the
that.
one I haven't seen, so that's good. I'll finally be
I
complete.
I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but I will. I guess we'll find out when we discuss
We gon-
that in a couple weeks. But
We gonna find out.
that is our episode on Twins. This has been the Disenfranchised Podcast. Hey, you know what? If you've enjoyed what you've listened to, go to your podcatcher of choice, particularly if it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Leave us a big old 5-star rating. And while you're at it, if you could leave us a review with that 5-star rating as well, damn it if we wouldn't appreciate it. We will read those on the air if you leave them. So definitely do that. We sure do appreciate it. If you want to shoot us an email, send that to disenfranchpod@gmail.com. If there is an episode that you would like to request, a failed franchise starter specifically, that you would like to request that we cover, please do so. We try to do at least one listener request every year. We did 2 this year already, and the year is not even half over yet. So, it could happen for you this year too. We didn't do any last year, so we're kind of making up for lost time. But yeah, if there's one you want us to see, let us know. Plus, we read listener mail, so we'll read that on the podcast here as well. And look, guys, if you've done all those things and you're like, I want to know of other ways I can support you because I love what you do. First of all, thank you so much. And we have just such an opportunity. If you go to patreon.com/disenfranchpod for $5 a month, you get access to an entire catalog of like content that has never been put on the main feed ever. We mentioned I don't actually no, you weren't privy to that. I've got a show that I run called Upsall Christianity Corner. Brett's got a show that he runs called Upsall Video Game Corner, where we talk video games. We've got a weekly show that comes out called What Are We Watching, where we talk about all the media that we've been consuming in the previous week or weeks since the last time we've been on. Brett actually, he's not made a main feed appearance, but he absolutely made a paywall appearance last week. So
that's true.
If you're not a patron, you've missed out on Brett. Patrons have heard more of Brett than you have lately. So Brett is not gone, nor is he forgotten. He's just keeping it behind the paywall for right now. We've also got shows like Disenfranchised, where we do top 5 lists, or Unenfranchised, where we talk about movies that killed off your favorite franchises. And we've even done a couple commentary tracks. All of that, plus other stuff that I'm probably forgetting.
Also, if I may interject,
You may.
If you can subscribe to our Patreon on the free tier, and that gives you access to the official comment section of the podcast. Like, that's the one that we're going to be responding to people on, because I don't know how it works on any of the other those platforms except for YouTube. So patreon.com/disenfranchpod, the official conversation.
They tell people not to read the comments. We're actually reading those comments and responding to them in kind.
Pretty quickly, usually.
Either through official channels, like when I log into the Disenfranchpod Patreon, or unofficial channels when Tucker just like sees that it pops up and goes and responds under his own account. So either way, you're going to hear from either me or him, or maybe both. You don't know. Maybe both.
Who knows?
Could happen. It could happen to you. You can also find us on social media. We're on Instagram, Letterboxd, Facebook, and Blue Sky at Disenfranch Pod. I'm your host, Stephen Foxworthy. You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, or Blue Sky at Chewy Walrus. Brett Wright, who is not here, but hopefully will be back very soon. He is on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky at sus_warlock. Just sus warlock on Blue Sky because they don't like underscores. Tucker, what about you?
You can find me on YouTube, as always, and Instagram at Ice909. That's ICENINE, the number 0 and the number 9. Also on Instagram is Tuck Mugs. That's Tuck_mugs. We're kind of chilling out on Tuck Mugs. We had a lot of content there for a minute, and I think we need to take a breath, and I think I need to put up a mug of my own. It's been a while. We've
time.
just had so many guest mugs, and that's a great problem to have. Like, please let that continue to be the issue, is that we have so many guest mugs. Because that's kind of what the goal of Tuck Mugs has turned into, like, more of making a community to share stuff with each other as opposed to just looking at my mugs.
Correct. And that's kind of what it's been. We've had some great guest mugs lately, and I'm sure more to come. I might post one of my many glasses of beer that I photographed on my vacation.
I told you to, man. I was like, that's going on Tuck Mugs, dude.
I have like so many, though. I've got like 6.
Do a batch post and then just do kind of an overall story.
Okay, I could do that for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That would be rad.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, lots of fun stuff on Tuck Mugs.
Yeah. And that's the second shortest Tuck Mugs plug outside of last week, Steven.
Well, no, actually, the shortest one ever was the one where I messaged you that I had to go to the bathroom, and you were done.
Oh yeah, no, I said all the things I wanted to say, but I was the Micro Machines guy when I did it.
I thought about that afterwards. I'm like, no, that was probably actually the shortest, but yeah. No, we love it. It's great. Tuck Mugs is a friend to all. But yeah, that does it for this week. We're halfway through Arnie April 2, Austrian Boogaloo. Join us next week for what promises to be a really fun episode. At least that's how I'm choosing to remember it. Until next time, I am your host, Stephen Foxworthy, from my co-host, Tucker, and my absent co-host, Brett Wright. Until next time, wait, are you saying that I'm the crap?